C, the city of Sydney welcomes the 22 nations of the World Cup of Motorsport for Australia's round of the series at Eastern Creek Raceway. This is a city that buzzes with pride. Its location, its iconic architecture, a great climate, and lots of people who make the most of it. From city centre to a fantastic beach is only a short bus or ferry ride away. And the Aussies know how to work and play hard. From harbour to high speed, the place to be today is the Eastern Creek Raceway. It's a wonderful country, offering all sorts of exciting things to do as a visitor, but the visitors here today are at Eastern Creek Raceway to enjoy high humidity, obviously.
Yes, track temperature is still surprisingly high, 32 Celsius, but just going back to those sharks and the racetrack, I mean, there'll be a few sharks out there this afternoon in these wet weather conditions. In fact, I think the guys were safer in the tank. Those are ragged-toothed sharks. They're not known as sharks that attack human beings particularly. Nevertheless, the teeth were intimidating, but
briefly, it did then dry out for Friday after. The tyres working well, and then of course we got ready for qualified Team France, and they need the points as well, trying to reclaim the series lead from New Zealand. So let's look at how they line up for this race. It is France and Switzerland together on the front row of the grid, with South Africa and New Zealand right behind. So the current points leaders, New Zealand, starting from 4th position. China and the USA are on the 3rd row of the grid together. Germany and Great Britain further down than might be expected. Australia starting 9th on home turf ahead of the Netherlands. Then it's Brazil and Ireland. India qualified 13th ahead of the Czech Republic. Then it's Canada and Malaysia. Portugal and Pakistan are on row number 9. Mexico and Italy on row 10. And at the back it's Indonesia and Lebanon. We're all set to go racing. The pace is being kept nice and steady. Lights go out, away we go. What a start from France. Switzerland in second and New Zealand on the attack.
Well, we don't know whether that was a start before the lights went out or not. We got the message on the screen, green flag, but we don't know whether that was a slight jump, slight advantage to France or not. But South Africa trying to find a way down the inside, but Great Britain, Robbie Kerr dives down, gets alongside China and has taken that place away.
Have they all made it through turn 2? Normally that's where we see accidents, but they haven't. Great Britain definitely gaining a couple of places there. They're past Germany, they're past China. Robbie Kerr's had a magic start. 1, 2, 3, 4. New Zealand in 4th, Great Britain in 5th, China in 6th.
Big defence from China, blocking Germany into turn 5. So Michael Ammermüller had the run out of turn 3, but it was blocked. Now he's got pressure from behind from Jonathan Summerton, Team USA.
So USA losing out a little bit there at the start. They started 6th, but they've dropped a couple of places. Ireland going well, just up behind the Netherlands too. So certainly Robbie Kerr of Great Britain. Oh, look at that slide from Michael Ammermüller of Team Germany, losing out to Great Britain at the start. He was 1 place ahead of GBR on the grid, but it didn't hold at the start.
And the Lebanon down the inside, trying to get through, managed not to make contact with Pakistan, and that's only because Adrian managed to see the car and stepped over to the left, allowed the Lebanese car to come through.
But Lebanon has managed to get past 4 cars already. That's pretty impressive, but I have to say that last one looked as though it was going to end in tears, but he made it.
I have to say Lebanon's probably got a lot of sets of fresh rubber rather than everybody else. They only ran 1 lap of the 4 segments.
That's very true, so he's going to have to try and use those new tyres as early as possible in the race. On the
Can't see the light from that position, but clearly France did get a huge advantage, and they've taken advantage of that advantage. South Africa and New Zealand side by side in turn 1, and then it was New Zealand had to fall back in line behind South Africa.
Yeah, Great Britain went around the outside of Germany at turn 1, and then I think he went down. You can't blame him for not trying. Look at the sort of smiles of gaining too many points here. Good opportunity for France to take the lead in the championship if the positions stay as they are right now. Australia down in 11th place. John Martin losing out a little bit. Let's ride on board with him.
This is the flank cam on the Australia car coming down under brakes into turn 2. You can see cars just ahead. That is Ireland just ahead, the green and white of the Ireland car. Not the original tub that Ireland are using, that's the tub of the spare car. But to every other point of view, it is the Ireland car.
Now I bet John Martin would like it to rain a little bit. He knows the wet lines around here extremely well. They are quite different to the dry lines, but it looks...
Still in the lead. The advantage is waiting for Switzerland to come across. Got to be nearly 6 seconds. 4.8. Look, there you see spray.
Look at this, South Africa takes 2nd place from Switzerland. Switzerland being very cautious in the wet, and Adrian Zaugg goes for it. That was brave stuff. Now, watch out for the Australian car in these conditions. He will love this because he knows where the grip is to be found. He's a bit of a specialist around here. I reckon they might be able to make up some ground here, but it does depend on how wet it gets.
Canada also trying to find a way around. Brazil dives down the inside. the way in the wet, but of course they're on slick tyres here. It's not as if they're on wet weather tyres, where the obvious line is to go around the outside of the corner. The problem is if the track is wet.
Off goes South Africa. South Africa off, having taken second. Adrian Zaugg goes off, and Malaysia in the pits. I was just looking at the pit lane when that happened, actually, because Malaysia's made a pit stop, so Fauzi's dropped right back.
And also India got off as well. So everybody now in trouble. Czech Republic
oh, there's
also
another
in trouble.
spinner. Indonesia's just spun.
It's on to turn 4, so this is turn 5. We got Portugal. Now we go back. New Zealand looking to find a way around the Swiss car. And Neel Jani being very, very cautious indeed. He lost that position going into turn 1 to South Africa. South Africa has blown it by going off track. So Neel Jani back to second, but under a real challenge. Look at this battle here. China now is bunting with Germany and the Netherlands, and the USA and Ireland all bunching together.
Well, this has certainly stirred things up. France still leads this race. Loïc Duval is still in control. He's driven a good lap there. First across conditions.
Great Britain's in.
My goodness, Great Britain have come in, presumably to put wet tyres on. They've really gone for the gamble.
He's not coming in for a coffee, I can guarantee you that.
And I guess that's what Malaysia did. Maybe Malaysia, Ireland and Australia.
Ooh, nearly hits the back of the Swiss car. Neel Jani got off the throttle and Jonny Reid was still on it. So nearly contact coming onto main straight. Now Switzerland pulls over to the left of the racetrack to defend, going down into turn 1.
Fantastic stuff, and this is still raging, this battle. The second, and down the inside goes Jonny Reid, and Neel Jani sort of left the door open there, and he's through. And meanwhile Australia is just look at this, he's gone down the inside of Ireland, side by side into turn 2. What a drive from Rob Wickens. This is astonishing, and no, he can't hold it, but now he might have more grip on the outside here.
Oh, look at the absolutely, it's like a skating ring. Now Wickens has gone. Carroll has spun for Ireland in turn 3, and there's mayhem as they try to avoid the Irish car spinning in the middle of the track. He's now off the track on the grass, and these conditions, the rain is still falling. 3 laps to go and 3 minutes and 17 seconds. It's going to be a race, I think, that will be timed rather than
Germany under pressure from Canada, goes around the outside.
What a pass.
Canada takes 4th place. Rob Wickens, fantastic through turn 1.
Unbelievable. Rob Wickens, undoubtedly the star of this race in these conditions.
Let me tell you that Lebanon has just taken 12th place. Remember, they started at the back, and I think he just took Italy as they came. I think, yes, in 7th place.
This is on board with Germany, and Germany, well, Canada, 4.3 seconds behind Switzerland. And look, US.
Run wide down at the hairpin, and I can see Switzerland there on the grass, passed by Canada. Canada gets past.
Germany, USA, Australia,
now
and
he's
South Africa.
spun it on the grass, and Neel Jani in desperate trouble here. The man who was second in the points coming into this race, desperate to score points. Oh, and he's just getting going now. He's just got in front of Brazil, rejoined. They can't believe it down there.
He will be in 9th place. 9th place. And in fact, he's going to drop to 10th because Brazil has now taken that position away.
China's gone down there. It's very slippery up there. They're all looking up and going straight on at turn 9. And Ireland's done it now as well. We're looking out of our commentary box window. You're watching Team France, but I tell you, that track is lethal in places now. Does this mean the guys on wets are going to come through? They're still a long way back.
Well, I don't think anybody on wets has got a chance. I mean, if it's a 20-lap race, yes. With the last lap, we're on the last lap, no.
Germany still battling with USA. This is for 4th position because Canada now in 3rd as a result of Switzerland's mishap last time around. So Canada's gone from 15th to 3rd, but will they survive the remainder of the race? On board here with Team USA.
Yeah, they're looking to get that position away, that 4th place taken away from Germany. And Jonathan Summerton, not unlike young Rob Wickens of Canada in terms of braver than Dick Tracy when it comes to a move in these type of conditions.
What a drive though by this man, Loïc Duval. Surely he's going to break the duck. He's going to take his first win. He's not made any mistakes, and France, having gone some 36 races without a victory, it looks as though it's going to come good, John.
Yes, I mean, he drove away from the field at the start and was never challenged, got the fastest race lap, hasn't put a wheel wrong in very, very difficult conditions here in Eastern Creek when others around him were falling off left, right and centre. So comes through the final turn 11 onto the straight.
Here we go to take the sprint race victory in Australia, to take his own first ever win in A1GP. Loïc Duval for Team France. They break a 36 race losing streak. France wins here at Eastern Creek in the most amazing conditions. New Zealand will take 2nd place. Canada take an absolutely stunning 3rd place. 4th goes to Germany, 5th to the United States, 6th place to Australia. Well done to John Martin, who's moved up the order. South Africa disappointed. His team that are applauding this. Other teams up and down the pit lane are definitely enjoying this as well. And now with a 2-point series lead as well, they finished ahead of New Zealand and Canada, Germany in 4th, then the United States in 5th, ahead of Australia. Good drive from John Martin. South Africa dropped back a little bit. And the other point scorers, Brazil, the Netherlands and Switzerland, but only just. And then those out of luck, including China, Ireland and Great Britain on those wet tyres.
Yes, and obviously he'll feel very hard done by, and just looking out of the commentary booth, rain beginning to fall again. So it's going to be a difficult start to this race. And keep an eye on the grid with the Robbie Kerr line. That should have been directly behind New Zealand, because he's going to have a major go into turn 2.
He is indeed. It'll be interesting to see what he can do. Let's take a look at how they line up then. And although the graphic will show that Team New Zealand starts from pole position, unfortunately, Jonny Reid has not been able to take up that spot, so he's going to have to start right at the back of the field and try and fight his way through. Switzerland, therefore, effectively on pole. And as you say, Team GBR now will have a clear run into the first corner. Watch out for Cheng of China. He's qualified really well here, ahead of France and South Africa. And then it's the United States, and Tomáš Enge of the Czech Republic always races hard. Brazil and Malaysia next up. Good qualifying for Fauzi there. Netherlands and Germany further back than expected. Australia's John Martin has lots to do from 14th on the grid. Carroll for Ireland back in 15th. And then as we make our way towards the back of the grid, it's Lebanon and Canada on that final row. Well, as you said, John, a little bit more rain beginning to fall. Can see the umbrellas going up, but it's time for the start procedures to get underway.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are young and free. With golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing. Advance
So the national anthem.
On behalf of your nations, start your engines.
And the signal is given to fire up the engines as we get ready for the feature race here at Eastern Creek. But look at the rain falling again now. Suddenly it's getting wetter. Well, they're all on wet tyres. It was already pretty much a certainty they would be on wet tyres, and now it just means that it'll be further into the race before they might even think of changing.
Yes, but some of the drivers here will have not driven their car on the wet weather tyre on a wet track. Others will have done, because those were the rookies that ran on Friday morning. But all the running that's taken place subsequently for the prime drivers has been on slick tyres. Even the sprint race finished on slick tyres, with the exception of Team GBR.
I tell you what, watch for the battle between Switzerland and GBR at the start of this. Neel Jani was very cautious on his slick tyres in the wet in that earlier race today, and well, it just got the impression that he was playing it carefully. Robbie Kerr really has nothing to lose. Great Britain desperately need a good result here.
There's no question in my mind that Robbie Kerr will do everything he can at the start I mean, he's on the right-hand side of the track as they go into turn 1, and he can run the outside line, whereas Neel Jani, that you see on the inside line, that would not normally be the case if he was in pole position, but because he was second quickest, he's on the left-hand side of the track, right-hand side of your TV screen. So the start into turn 1 is going to be very, very exciting indeed.
That's a bit of a worry. That's a bit of a worry. The computers are still plugged into the New Zealand car. I would have thought he might have been down at the end of the pit lane by now.
Well, they've got a lap.
Yeah.
These tyres are going to go a lap, so there's no real rush. They can do that once the cars begin to come down, main straight, get them down to the end of the straight.
Okay, so they're about to go away on their formation lap. It will be a standing start next time that they do get underway, but remember, they've got this one final formation lap. Given the signal, away they go, trying to judge the amount of grip, but France has stalled on the grid there. Loïc with his hand up. We're going to have another fast car starting at the back. Another Well, he's the championship leader. France, the series leader, will also be at the back. We'll have Canada at the back, France and New Zealand.
And it will be an absolute open door for Switzerland to claw back points, which they lost desperately in New Zealand. And of course here this afternoon, or this morning when the earlier is finishing 10th, only 1 point for that 10th place. So real drama.
Look at that, yeah. The points, France and New Zealand leading, but now both of them are going to have to start at the back of the field here. So as you say, this has handed a huge opportunity to Switzerland. After all the problems they've had, it's now up to Neel Jani to make the most of what is a potentially very promising situation. They get the French car underway. He is not allowed to overtake any of the cars that have already set off. Oh, dramatic stuff. And did someone say that India's on different tyres there? Just check that. Yeah, they're on slicks apparently.
Well, I think that's, I mean, to call it an amazing punt is an understatement. I mean, there's rain falling, and while you might say, what have you got to lose? India starting all the way back on the 18th position, 9th row of the grid. These conditions are, in my view, way too wet to take a chance. Now, all he can hope to do is that the rain that is beginning to fall will stop, but it looks to me like it's in for a little bit longer than maybe India would have anticipated. We're still waiting for the New Zealand car to make its way down to the end of the pit lane, and that will happen, I suspect, within the next, well, half a lap.
Well, that is interesting. So India, I wonder if they will come in or whether they will stay out there. We gather that Ireland may well be on slicks. In fact, they are on slicks, apparently. Just looking down, most of the rest of those guys are on wets. Certainly Indonesia there on wets, Canada on wets, Lebanon on wets. Actually, Lebanon's another one to watch from the back, John, because Chris Alajajian, he was moving up the order pretty well on the first lap in particular in that sprint race.
Yes, but much different set of circumstances, and of course starting all the way at the back, or not quite at the back, Lebanon starting in this instance, I beg your pardon, look at the results. Lebanon starting back, well, they are 22nd because they route the car off effectively. So they might take the view, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I think for Chris Alajajian, they're Ireland on the slick. I think for Lebanon, the best thing they could do is make sure they give the driver the safest car they can and let them work it out over the duration of this race. 45 laps or 69 minutes plus 1 lap.
What an opportunity this could be for Robbie Kerr and for Team GBR. They are effectively second on the grid. He ran wet tyres early on today, so he's got a bit of a feel for what the car is going to be like on wet tyres, unlike Neel Jani for Switzerland, who was on his slicks and made that mistake. And we did see that Jani was very cautious in the wet conditions earlier, wasn't prepared to risk things as much as some of the others. I think Robbie Kerr is surely going to go for the outside. The two guys on slicks have come in, both India and Ireland are into the pits.
But look how much the Swiss car has lined up. It is not lined up straight, it's lined up to try and block a Robbie Kerr move down the outside, as now the New Zealand car makes its way down the pit lane as the field begins to form up. And
this is amazing. This is incredible, with France at the back, Canada at the back. We've got New Zealand starting from the pit lane. Look at the gaps
Enge
up there.
Slightly out of, again, pulling over to the left just to give himself a clear run.
We're all set then, ready to go, with a rather different looking grid to the one that we expected. Watching for the lights, I can see them from the commentary box window. Lights go out, away we go, and who's going to get off the line? It's a good start from Great Britain, it's a good start from Brazil as well. Brazil, a stunning start down the inside, and Sérgio Jimenez trying to take second, but side by side it's Switzerland and South Africa. Robbie Kerr takes third for Great Britain. Brazil in fourth place. Great start from Jimenez. Here comes Kerr down the inside, trying to take second for Great Britain, with South Africa on the outside.
South Africa runs wide. They were going to use the wide line, forced to do so by Great Britain. That second place, I thought it might have been the first place for Robbie Kerr by the time they got into turn 2, but no, Neel Jani did get the bite off the grid and he blocked the road to make sure that he had the lead into turn 2.
Behind Brazil it's China and then the United States, and blocking going on further back as the Czech Republic. Tomáš Enge tried to make a move down the inside into turn 4, and are they all making it? So far so good.
USA going the long way around China, and then cut back up the inside out of turn 5 up into turn 6.
Switzerland leads, Neel Jani with the advantage, taking a very different line to normal in the dry, trying to find grip. USA versus China continues.
This is the part of the racetrack, very slippery in the dry, much more so on the wet, up the hill into turn 8, run the line out round the outside as the USA does. That's where the grip will be in these conditions on your wet weather tyre.
Germany next up with Michael Ammermüller, then Tomáš Enge, then the Netherlands. Canada, look where Canada is. Look how many places Wickens has gained already on this first lap. He was at the back of the grid.
Started 21st, So we wait to see Canada's 12th place. Made up 9 on the first lap. Rob Wickens is flying.
He loves the place in the wet, does Rob Wickens of Canada.
He's made up another place into turn 11 as well.
Just trying to get past the Netherlands, I think he was there. But as they come around the first time, it is going to be Switzerland leading this ball of spray. Great Britain in second place. South Africa in third place, courtesy of Adrian Zaugg. Then it's Brazil, United States and China. Germany in 7th, Czech in 8th place, Netherlands 9th, Canada in 10th. So here goes Wickens again, trying to go around the outside of the Netherlands, and look at that, it's his favourite line.
Like a power boat going past, just absolute commitment, confidence from Rob Wickens, and the Canada car gets past the Netherlands. That's now 9th for Canada. So everybody else round the back of the field. France also tippy-toeing their way round behind Pakistan and Malaysia.
Yeah, where's New Zealand? Down in 18th place at the moment, so they haven't made much. You can just see the New Zealand car in the background. Pakistan versus Malaysia. This is a goal.
Whoa!
Malaysia, Farah's fouls, he almost lost it there, and he's got France on the attack, but Duval's being careful.
He has to be, because Farah's Fawzi probably wouldn't even know that France was having a little look up the inside. He's so much focused on the tail of the Pakistan car.
I tell you what, Canada's drive-through has been amazing, because France are at the back. So when New Zealand, here comes France now, Malaysia now, got a chance to get alongside. Yes, Loïc Duval makes the move there. He's got to try and hold it. And a quick look at the French pit wall as they see if he's made it. He has. Italy next to try and go through. Edoardo Piscopo. Australia got past Netherlands.
Yeah, indeed, John Martin's made his way up. It was 11th on the last lap, the first flying lap. Now he's got past Robbie Kerr under threat from South Africa. Adrian Zaugg up into turn 10. Robbie Kerr runs wide, gets the car back now into the two-part turn 11.
Battle for second place. This is Switzerland still leading, but it's Great Britain versus South Africa. Look how wide they go through that corner, looking for any traction that they can find. It's a real karting line right round the edge of the circuit, and Robbie Kerr's got his mirrors filled with Willem Lela, the South African car. Wesley Orr, the rookie driver there, who was in the wet conditions himself on Friday morning, seeing how Adrian deals with this. No challenge into turn 1.
And no one in the first 3 either using any power boost. So all focus is right on what's going on ahead of you. Robbie Kerr comes back, pulls over to the left to defend the inside line, allowing the South Africa car to take the probably marginally quicker line around the outside. You can see GBR really struggle for bite and grip as they take that tighter line.
John Martin for Australia on the attack. He's trying to get past Tomáš Enge of the Czech Republic. Well, if he's going to go for a move on Enge, he better make sure he's fully alongside. Here comes New Zealand gaining another place.
Yes, up to 15th place if he makes that one stick with Italy. Then he's got Farah's Fawzi. No, he hasn't made it stick, so he stays down in 16th place.
Trying to go around the outside here to get the grip. Now he might have the in. Oh, big slide. Holds it just about.
You cannot get the power on that inside line in these conditions. He had no other choice. He had to make the attempt, but you could see the problem he has. Just can't get the traction.
No traction control, of course, in A1GP. It's all down to the drivers to balance the power on the throttle. And here's that battle, Czech Republic versus Australia. Enge made a mistake there.
And Australia's taken the position up the inside. Good move from John Martin. He knows this place better than the palm of his hand. And he's on to turn 8, runs the car around the outside. There's bite out there. Tomáš Enge fought, couldn't do it. Now under threat from the
Netherlands and France.
Indeed, it is.
And Pakistan following. Then we've still got New Zealand caught up behind Malaysia and Italy. They're trying to race each other, but New Zealand can't get past the two of them. Australia now up into 9th place, by the way, as that result of that last move.
So Jonny Reid trying to get alongside the Malaysian car coming into turn 10. We can't quite see where that car is. He's clear. Coming out of turn 9, he got the drive. Now running up to the tail of the Italian car.
Everybody looking for the grip. Look how wide they are through that final turn. Italy with now New Zealand got past Malaysia. Now we'll try and get past him, Italy. Czech Republic car under investigation by the stewards for something they've done wrong. We're watching Jackaroo, the Australian car, as it's been renamed this weekend, and John Martin hoping to score points again for the second time today. Jeroen Bleekemolen, usually very good in these conditions, but struggling with the Netherlands car just a touch.
So New Zealand now closing down to Edoardo Piscopo in the Italy entry. And let's go back to the start.
Watch Canada here, particularly ahead of the French car. Oh, terrible start by Loïc Duval.
It was poor. Maybe he...
And let's just take a look from the sort of mid-grid. That was the start of the race, really was from Brazil, I think. Just look at it from the overhead.
nobody looks like they've done. Brazil just got bite.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, there's no question about jump start. He just got the grip. He maybe got the car into second gear much quicker than the others, used the torque of the engine, but he found the road was shut to him by South Africa by the time he got into turn one. The pass he'd made on GBR was returned, but GBR slid it into the third place, back live. And has Indonesia been off the track, or is it about to go off the track? I'm not quite sure. Well, it looks like it could be one or the other.
Certainly sliding around a little bit, isn't he? Yes, Brazil were 9th on the grid. The battle there with Germany and China. This is for 6th place.
So Germany gets to try and get up inside, and he's done it. No, he hasn't. The quicker line will be around the outside of the corner. The shorter one is the short line that Germany's on. Less grip in that shorter line.
So Michael Ammermüller driving for Team Germany, tucked in to the spray of the Chinese car driven by Cheng, Frankie Cheng, and loses a lot along the straight because of a slow exit. Canada not far behind them now in 8th place. Team Canada is going to join that little race in just a moment with Rob Wickens' speed around this track, although the fastest lap at the moment belongs to Team GBR, Robbie Kerr.
Keep an eye on Rob Wickens, Canada. He's running down the gap between Germany ahead and 7th. He's in 8th. The gap was over 3 seconds. It's down to just 2 seconds. In the meantime, Adam Khan having a good run so far in the Pakistan car, in 12th place, just behind the Netherlands. That's the best we've seen from Adam Khan in Pakistan.
This was the what happened to Indonesia. We only saw him rejoining, but that's why the car was sliding around. He got a lot of muck on the tyres, obviously. Actually did pretty well to get back on the tarmac.
Yep. So he bumps and grinds his way through the gravel, gets on the track, back to this battle, looking to go up the inside again. There's not much room into turn 4 to get away with that one. You've got to be right alongside the car you're trying to pass. You don't want to stick your nose in and then find a car without front wings or nose. New
Zealand only up to 15th so far, but there's a long way to go. 41 laps remain in this race. Pit window will open at lap 8, remember, and well, we'll see. There are 2 pit stops to be made. Long way to go in this race. Saw Great Britain with fastest lap in the race in 2nd place. South Africa still in 3rd, and then it's Brazil 4th. United States in 5th place. Watching here, New Zealand though tucked in behind the Czech Republic, looking to find a way past. Italy managed to get ahead of the Czech Republic somehow, so I think Enge made a mistake there somewhere. And here comes Jonny Reid trying to draw alongside. Can he get alongside into the right-hander? Yes, he does.
Yes, and I think that was Tomáš Enge was a little bit helpful in that situation. He knows that the New Zealand car is a quicker car, and frankly, other than getting involved in a wheel banging into turn 10 or maybe 11, that inevitably, as we got a yellow flag out now at turn 4, and we can't quite work out what that's for, but there is a yellow flag being waved at turn 4.
You can see how everybody's now got a bit more used to the wet line around here. Running around the edge of the track, there's Zaugg, who had the slide earlier on in the sprint race at that corner, but he's dealing with it well, still holding on to 3rd place.
So the lead still in the hands of Switzerland, 2.1 seconds over Great Britain, who have the fastest lap to date. That was on lap 4. South Africa and Brazil in 3rd and 4th.
Yes, and everything's settled down just a moment because even Canada's not making that much extra progress. Rob Wickens, after that amazing first lap, he's up into 8th place, but now the gap between himself and Germany at just over 2 seconds. Still Adrian Zaugg keeping Robbie Kerr honest here, because there's not a great gap between them. You can watch the throttle traces and compare them in the 2 cars as they battle over 2nd position here.
Yes, the difficulty out of turn 9 is getting the traction. So everybody, I would imagine, is trying to short shift as early as they can. In other words, use a higher gear and let the engine pull rather than letting the engine run up to its maximum RPM and suffer the problem of braking traction. The rear wheels, the grip, and Adrian Zaugg runs wide as he comes out of turn 11, trying to get a little bit more impetus off that corner. And the gap across the line between those 2 cars is just 0.6 of a second.
Brazil still in a very solid 4th place. USA in a strong 5th place. China are in 6th, and then it's Germany a little further back, and then that gap back to Canada that I mentioned, and the gap actually opened up, if anything, on that last lap.
Looks to me as if South Africa are slightly better into turn 2. It's a question of who gets off that corner then. I think they're fairly even Stevens, but the gap pretty much maintaining around that half second to 0.6 of a second. Driving in right in the spray of the Team GBR car, never easy. And of course the drivers will have rip-offs on their visor, so how many they might have for these conditions? Maybe up to 2, 3 possibly.
So the pit window opens up in a couple of laps' time. They've completed 6 laps so far. On lap 8, the first pit stop window is open, and they're allowed to come in to make their compulsory tyre change at any point then from lap 8 to lap 15. Still a close battle, close run thing here between Great Britain and South Africa for second position. Here's a battle going on. Malaysia, Ireland, Lebanon in there as well, so is India.
So around the outside, Adam Carroll goes for Ireland. He tried to go up the inside in the sprint race and had the spin, so he's got the momentum off turn 3. Now India goes down the inside of Lebanon. Again, the difficulty is you haven't got the ability to carry the speed if you're on the inside line.
Ireland and India both came in to put wet tyres on, of course, so they effectively started right down at the back of the field, so they're trying to move up. They're up to 17th for the case of Ireland. Actually now 16th, that they've got past Malaysia, and a couple of further spots back is Team India's Narain Karthikeyan. There's Tomáš Enge, the Czech Republic. He lost a couple of places on the last lap, but hopefully things are okay for him. Meanwhile, Team Australia, of course, up into 9th place. John Martin has gone well in the early stages, and Alan Jones joins us from the pit wall. Alan, what do you make of things so far?
Yeah, thanks, Ben. We're pretty happy with the way things are going at the moment. We're in 9th from 15th. He's lapping in the high 42s, just under low 43, but he's consistently lapping a little bit quicker than Canada and Germany. So we're going to leave our stop just a little tad later than most people and see what happens. But so far, so good.
Great, thanks very much, Alan. And John Martin upholding Australian on as well so far in very tricky conditions, but he certainly did say he would look forward to racing here in the rain if he had the chance. The car moving around a bit there, but he's not afraid of it.
No, he's got very good ability. Oh, Pakistan getting it wrong, coming out of turn 2. Going back to John Martin, he's got a lot of ability. He's comfortable driving in these conditions, and he knows his way around this Eastern Creek Raceway, whether it's wet, dry or anything else.
Yeah, he loves the place. Raced here a lot in Formula Ford. Oh, look at this, India now trying to get alongside Malaysia again. This is over 17th place. Lebanon still tucked in there, and still no one can gain an edge or an advantage. Now, none of these guys are running quite as wide as the guys up front. Robbie Kerr and Adrian Zaugg in particular were running right round by the white line, but none of these guys are doing that.
Well, I think that's just a question of what they feel they're most comfortable with, but they may well try and experiment with the wider line. Certainly most of the corners here you'll benefit. Now look how wide the Malaysian car was in turn 5, and the India car took the more traditional line, trying to get up inside it, but to no avail.
Very interesting in these conditions when you see different lines being chosen. Oh, Portugal's made a move on Lebanon, it's gone wrong.
Yes, and Mexico had to go on the grass to get out of the way, and really there was never a chance for that pass to come. They were just too tight, not enough space in that corner, and Portugal is the one that comes off, whereas Mexico suffered a little bit as a consequence of the Portuguese car coming back onto the track.
Interestingly, on the last lap, the gap between first and second has reduced a little bit. Great Britain a little bit closer to Switzerland last time, and Lebanon on the grass there. They've got it wrong coming down that hairpin turn number 9, so Chris Alajajian drops back. And John, we've got some drive-through penalties.
Yes, indeed, drive-through penalties to Pakistan, China and the Czech Republic, as Switzerland is preparing a new set of tyres, wet weather tyres for their car. So what was the cause of that offence, whether it was a jump start or whether there was another offence, that very difficult to see precisely. Here's the Czech Republic coming in to do its drive-through penalties. Lebanon once again runs wide. That's again out at turn 11, so it'll be a drive-through for Tomáš Enge. We wait for the pit lane to open up to allow the pit stops to commence.
Yeah, it has opened, but he's not allowed. He's doing his drive-through. You can't combine your tyre change with the drive-through. Now look, Switzerland definitely not as far ahead as they were from this battle for second place between Robbie Kerr and Adrian Zaugg. They're all trying to close up to one another as the first pit stop approaches. And with the pit lane open, are the leaders going to choose this moment to come in?
Well, Switzerland clearly had the tyres in the garage. Whether they'll choose to come in now, the fact is that Switzerland is leading this race, but they're coming in, so Switzerland at the earliest opportunity, coming up to the end of the 8th lap, and in it comes. So
Great Britain in as well.
Following in as well. So we've got to get the speed down. That's the line. Don't overrun that line coming in. That's a 60 km/h thereafter. So 4 cars make their way into the pit lane.
And South Africa now takes over the lead of the race. Into the pits then comes Switzerland and Great Britain. It's the battle of the pit stops here. And Great Britain's pit right down at the far end, so it's a while before he can make his stop. And we're looking at the total time in the pits here. Good stop from Robbie, just locks up in the last bit, but stops right in the correct place. These teams practice incessantly the stops and hope that it all goes well. Here we go, battle on.
Great stop from China. They've benefited hugely And look, Switzerland just ahead of GBR.
Oh, that was close. But China, I think, were they doing the drive-through then? I think they did their
They
drive-through.
well have done the drive-through, you may well be right.
So they've still got another stop to make, but Switzerland still just getting the advantage here, but Robbie Kerr's going to try and take advantage as they come out.
And he's got, of course, that Italian car just ahead of Switzerland. That's the opportunity Robbie Kerr will seek, because while Switzerland are focusing on that car ahead on the blue Italian car, Robbie Kerr will be focusing on taking the position from Switzerland. This is his best opportunity. When they've come out of the pits, this is when Robbie Kerr is at his most potentially dangerous, because he is so good after a stop, getting back on it, getting the feel of a different set of tyres, and these tyres will feel different. It'll take a couple of laps for the drivers to get accustomed to the difference between the tyres they were on for the first 9 laps and this set of tyres they put on.
So South Africa now lead this race. There is Adrian Zaugg and Vullenlela. They have an advantage here, but what will happen when they make the pit stop? He's sliding around a fair bit. He's got to try and keep it smooth and get just nice quick lap times. So let's see what the lap time is as he comes across the line. 1:41.9 and a 1:41.3. Look, the battle's still on here between Switzerland and Great Britain.
Well, this is the best chance for Robbie Kerr to get a pass on the Swiss car. He's alongside, not quite coming out. He tried to take the shorter line through turn 9, but the momentum went back to the Swiss car. And once again, Robbie Kerr having to wait. And now it's a question of whether he will run the wide line and follow the Swiss car around turn 11. Or is he going to try and dive up the inside? No, he's decided the best move is to follow Switzerland. Maybe try and pick up a bit of speed in the exit of the corner. Again, the back of the car sliding around. Robbie, use a higher gear.
Yeah, they are pushing on as hard as they can. South Africa lead the race from Germany, France. Australia is up to 4th place, having not stopped yet. Germany now, though, into the pit, so they've come in from second half. Australia not 4th for long because they've made their pit stop. I tell you what, they have a great crew, and that looked like a pretty fast stop, although he's still going to be behind Germany. No change in terms of his position relative to Germany. We'll see how it all settles down once all the other leaders have made a stop.
Because the team are not looking for Canada. Canada was the car actually was running on the track behind Germany, and I don't know whether they will, when the time Canada comes in, makes their pit stop, whether that will actually have helped Australia or not.
Canada has actually stopped already. They will wind that first little sequence of stoppers. Ireland in then. The guys rush out of the pit garage. Jack's under the car. Wheel guns go into action. The limited number of people that are allowed to work on the car do their business and hopefully send him away. Oh, don't stall it, Adam. He gets away cleanly.
Got away. There was a near stall, but he got it away, and he's out ahead of Malaysia. So, first round of pit stops pretty much complete. 2/3 of the field have been in. Some have been in twice. And those were penalties for indiscretions.
So 1:41.6 last lap around there for race leader Adrian Zaugg of South Africa. We'll try and keep an eye on what Switzerland and Great Britain do next time around. Lebanon also into the pits for their tyre change. Remember, there is a pit window here. He can't just keep going round and round without stopping. Within the next 4 laps, he's got to make his pit stop.
Yes, but he's hoping now that he's got clear air, he's got clear visibility. He can take advantage of that situation, whereas these cars are racing amongst each other. Tomáš Enge, Czech Republic.
What's he been up to?
There he goes, gets it, rear wheel in the mud. And I mean, Tomáš, well, it's all a bit of a laugh at times, isn't it? Car and tyres caked in muck. Robbie Kerr, where is he? He nearly gets the back of the car, getting away from him.
I'll tell you who is going quickly, that's France. They haven't made their stop yet, but Team France just put in a very quick middle sector time and a very quick lap generally compared to what everyone else is doing right now. Oh, it's still close there between Switzerland and Great Britain. But Loïc Duval for Team France, who remember had to start right at the back after stalling on the formation lap. Well, he is going to be climbing up through the field. Here's another battle, Canada and Germany.
Well, this is a positional battle, and Germany side by side with Canada. As they come out of turn 2, Canada really unable to do anything about it on the run out of the turn into turn 3. Once again has to settle behind Germany, but this is the closest he's been to Michael Ammermüller since the lights went out at the start of the race. He was running between 2 and 3 seconds before they made the pit stops. After the benefit of a good pit stop, he's down within half a second.
New Zealand haven't made their pit stop yet, so that means they've come up to 7th, but we're obviously waiting for them to come into the pits. It's still South Africa leading from France in second. Neither of them have stopped yet. A good lap there from South Africa.
And a good lap from Switzerland because they've pulled away slightly from Team GBR. Now, that might have been a little error on the part of Robbie Kerr, just trying so hard, driving in the spray of the Swiss car, but he's dropped back. That's the biggest gap we've really seen since those 2 cars made their first pit stop.
It's very interesting. South Africa and France, who stayed out on track, are actually lapping a bit quicker than those guys who've been in and put new wets on.
I mean, that gives you an indication. Even on wet weather tyres, the level of grip is so low. Pakistan goes around the outside of Malaysia. Yes,
yeah.
And that's out of turn 3, and again, a good run from Adrian, doing a very good job for Pakistan.
Yeah, that was the position. Despite the little error earlier, he's now moved up to 18th. There's the race. Well, he was race leader, but he's not race leader at the moment because we're still waiting to see South Africa and France come into the pits, and Great Britain still hounding Switzerland here in the early stages of this race. And Switzerland wide. Has he gone too wide? No, he's all right. He's all right. He's just trying to use...
He did go too wide.
Right.
But he didn't actually lose too much time. He did lose a tenth or two. Robbie Kerr sniffed and up. Oh, Robbie, stay off the white line. Otherwise, you're going to draw yourself off the racetrack. And oh dear, some days I want to take him in and give him a good talking to.
Well, he does. We've seen him run risks on white lines before, and you do have to be so careful in the wet. Those white lines are so slippery. Neel Jani for Switzerland so far just managing, look at that, turning in, getting a bit of understeer, the front wheels tracking across the road, but there's our race leader at the moment.
That car is lapping in the moment at 40.5s, and it's running approximately now a second a lap faster. South Africa is ready, but a second a lap faster than the rest of the field. The gap, waiting to see how far France, who currently are second, still to make their first pit stop in terms of overall time, and well, he's still waiting for France to come through.
So let's see what happens here. Still a good tussle going on between these two, but will South Africa rejoin ahead of them or behind them?
But the gap between leading and France second, 21 seconds. Switzerland, which is effectively the team that will lead when South Africa and France make their pit stops, are still waiting to see them. They're all Switzerland's coming down pit straight now, so the gap between South Africa and Switzerland is, well, it's 41.8 seconds, and you have to think New Zealand coming into the pit lane as we see. New Zealand in the pit lane, 11 and off the turn 11. So 41 seconds, 42, 41.8. It's going to be tight.
I have to say, looking at the lap times, I think South Africa may well have done enough here if they get a good stop to actually come out in front. Look, he's got a fastest lap in the race. He's got into a brilliant rhythm, and so much of driving in the wet, John, is about that, isn't it?
Well, he's just got the balance and the grip. You can see he's able to slide the car, but it's a productive slide. The car's moving forward. It's not wasting all the energy. And he, as you say, he's found the line, he's found the groove, he's got the car balanced and working for him. And Jonny Reid now, after his start at the back, well, in fact, starting from the pit lane, now leaves the racetrack. And another long afternoon for the New Zealand driver. So where will it all wash out?
We're going to find out, because here comes South Africa into the pits for their first pit stop. First of 2 pit stops today. Now, this last stint has been a very good stint by Adrian Zaugg. He's put in some very fast lap times. The question is, has he done enough to come out ahead? Oh, I'm just looking. Great Britain's just run wide at turn number 9. He's got back on again. He's just rejoined there, Great Britain.
What is relevant is that Switzerland now is also running in the moment at 40s. It's about 2-3 tenths slower than the best that we saw from South Africa.
This is going to be tight.
Yes, Switzerland potentially is going to get back to the lead as South Africa. Well, I think South Africa will just sneak it at the end of the pit lane. They're halfway down the pit lane, across the white line, and they're going to go out on the racetrack to take the lead.
Yeah, I think he's going to do it. But Switzerland's not far behind as he comes out of the pits. We'll see how far back Switzerland is. He's done it. South Africa leads the race after the first pit stops. Look how far back Switzerland is. What a good set of laps that was by Adrian Zaugg.
Look how far back Team GBR have dropped from the Swiss car. So Robbie Kerr just pushing so hard has in effect caused himself to lose. He's now 2.6 seconds, and the South African team congratulating themselves. They've done a good job.
And the other one who's going to take gain an advantage here will be Team France. We're still waiting for France to make their pit stop, but they will have gained some ground. They won't be up with the leaders, but they will have gained a lot from where they started, which was right at the back, of course.
The problem that France has is they're not lapping at the speed of the quicker cars at the front. Jonny Reid comes up behind the back of the Italian car going into turn 1, and
look how much the car of South Africa is sliding on those new tyres. He's really twitching around more than he was on the previous set of tyres.
Well, you get a variation. I mean, it's just a combination of age, manufacturing, whatever. But there's so Reid got past the Italian car. That's a positional pass. So Reid now up to 11th, and Italy down to 13th.
USA off. He'd had a little bit of a moment, I noticed earlier, but now he's gone straight off the track, back on again.
And Canada gets past the USA. So Rob Wickens saw that, read it well. used the momentum, dived up the inside. Jonathan Summerton doesn't want to give up the position. He's going in the inside, but the line to have is where Rob Wickens is.
Germany also got past USA in that, so Germany's gained a place, and Canada with USA's mistake, and that's going to be interesting. That's what happened to him.
Yes, into turn 6 and 7 it is, and just nothing you can do. Oh, he came so close to that snake trap known as the Tower Wall. France in.
France into the pits then. Let's see how many places they might have gained through staying out there a little longer than everybody else on this pit stop, and then to see whether they can get the grip they need. He stalled it.
He stalls it. And so having had poor pit stops.
There must be a problem, John. He stalled. He must have a clutch problem. Remember, he stalled on the line, so then he had to start from the back. Do you think he's got some sort of clutch problem?
He could do. I remember that Rob Wickens had a clutch problem for the feature race, and he had to drive around that issue. So one more pit stop for everybody. India, one of the teams coming into the pit lane now.
France has rejoined behind Canada and USA, so he's ahead of Australia, so that's very impressive by Team France. Let's get some news from the pit lane now with Simon Hill.
Well, I think your guess about the clutch is absolutely spot on, guys, because I was standing alongside the French Carroll opposite it when he stalled on the grid. And what happened is the guys pushed the car along, and then you saw him just shove it into gear and grab a gear without a normal bump start. So it looks to me like they have got a malfunctioning clutch.
Thank you, and it also explains why he was so slow off the line when we saw the onboard replay at the start. He was very slow away, and that's obviously he has got a clutch problem. So Loïc Duval is battling out there with effectively no clutch, and he's still got another pit stop to do later in the race.
Well, all he can do is just do. He need the clutch between the two pit stops. It only will come when he has to grab that gear when the pit stop work has been completed. In the meantime, Robbie Kerr running in effectively third place, but fourth on the screen, dropped back to just under 3 seconds behind the Swiss car. So Neel Jani, for the first time in 6 laps, is able to maybe breathe easier. He hasn't got the pressure of Robbie Kerr trying to hunt him down.
But Adrian Zaugg, the race leader for South Africa, has just put in a 1 minute 39.466, fastest lap of the race to South Africa again.
Well, we thought that set of tyres he was on maybe it wasn't quite as good. Well, must be pretty good to me, because he's certainly found time. I mean, he's lapping the best part of 2 seconds a lap quicker than Switzerland, Great Britain and the rest.
Let's get back to the pit lane for some news from Lee McKenzie this time.
Thanks very much. Yeah, well, most of the teams should be happy with those pit stops. Obviously, France had that problem. Their car actually cut out as he was coming in, and Loïc Duval was waving his hands at the team before the tyres were even being taken off. Germany, in the meantime, well, Michael Ammermüller pulls out. The cable's still across the front, as you can see. The cable actually rips off from the air gun, and it's never nice to see air guns falling down with the rain.
Thankfully, yes, no, and you don't want to see airlines flapping around. That is what has injured British race engineer James Goodfield this weekend. He suffered a broken leg earlier on over the weekend. Great to see him here today and keeping an eye on what Robbie Kerr is doing. Well, Robbie Kerr's in third for Great Britain, but South Africa with the advantage at the moment, an advantage of some 6.8 seconds over Switzerland. Good battle going on here between Canada and the USA, the two neighbouring countries.
Now as the USA gets the chance to go around the outside of turn 7, but the momentum once again with Canada up the hill under the bridge, and then the swoop down, this odd off-camber exit to turn 8. But look at the spray that comes off that car. I mean, it is so difficult, really. Very often your vision is more about your peripheral vision rather than just looking straight ahead. So look at that. Opposite lock gets the power on, and again, just completely covered in spray.
28 laps to go still. Let's just run through the order. It's South Africa leading, Switzerland in second, Great Britain in third, then Brazil having a pretty solid race this afternoon in fourth, Germany in fifth, then Canada and USA, who you're watching and riding with right now, as USA again uses that wider line onto the straight. USA in seventh, then France up to 8th place, and not too far behind these two guys. Then it's Australia in 9th place, 5 places gained from their starting position.
Look at that visibility.
Nothing,
or lack of visibility.
Netherlands in 10th place, New Zealand up to 11th place now, having come from the back, and Italy in 12th. Then in behind them it's China, Pakistan, India, Portugal, and then the Czech Republic as well.
Well, at this sort of speed, no problem, but on those very quick parts of the circuit, particularly on Main Straight, it is very hard indeed, and a driver who's running as close as these two are, a bit of a problem coming to turn 3. USA gets the momentum, tries to come under into turn 4, but not far enough forward to do it.
And look who's behind them. It's Loïc Duval, winner of the sprint race earlier today, who's about to join in the fun and games. And another quick point, all 22 cars still running in this race in treacherous conditions. We have not lost a single car from the race so far.
Where's the wood? Where's the wood?
Where's the wood? It's going to change now, I've said it, but so far so good.
Loïc Duval trying to manoeuvre his way around the outside in turn 7, but very difficult. Jonathan Summerton doesn't give anything up. And the momentum that France have got is going to stall out, because this battle that's taking place between USA and Canada for 6th place is really going to be a bogey for France, potentially capable of running quicker than both these two teams. But it's a question of, are they aware I'm there? And if they are they going to help me? Or not help me, are they going to give me any chance, cut me any slack at all?
And Australia's behind them too, who's caught up a little bit over the last couple of laps. So there is John Martin going to join into this race that is for 6th place, with Canada leading the way at the moment. The USA and France then now together. Now USA is going to have to rather stop thinking about passing Canada and more think about defending from France.
Well, this is where you're going to use your power boost, in my view. France coming out of the slipstream, trying to get up the inside, but isn't close enough to the USA car. Now watch what happens on the inside.
He's going for it.
Oh, a brave move down the inside, but the quicker line is around the outside, and USA sweeps around the French car and consolidates its position.
Good stuff from both drivers. Loïc Duval for France, Jonathan Summerton for Team USA, and Loïc Duval could well be in his last A1GP race for a while.
Chance for France to come back, because the USA was really struggling for grip going through turn 2. Takes the wider line around turn 3. France tried to come up the inside. Again, the grip there is, well, it's just marginal at best, and certainly less than the outside line.
So again, staying wide through the next section, 4 and 5. Little wiggle from the French car there as they struggle to retain the grip. In the background, you can see the yellow and green colours of Team Australia bearing down on them as well, trying to see if they can't find an advantage themselves, and just ahead of them it's still the red and white colours of Team Canada.
So France very wide around turn 7, looking for bite up there. USA taking a more middle of the road line and finding reasonable grip as well. So the 3 cars in this battle now for 6th place. It's Germany.
Yes, Germany up a little bit further ahead.
Germany at 5th place. 4.8 seconds the difference between Canada and Germany, but with USA directly behind, and France looking for a way past either of them.
Yeah, France still hunting around here, looking for a way past USA. It's a tough track on which to overtake. These curves into the braking areas do make it very difficult to get alongside another car, so there's only a couple of key overtaking spots available. Slide there from USA.
Chance for France. A little bit last of a momentum for the USA car coming off turn 11. But it wasn't enough of a loss of momentum to put France into the position. They're looking to go the long way around now to try and get the speed off the corner, but his vision is completely obliterated as the USA comes across the front of France, then goes to the left of the racetrack to defend going into turn 2.
This is where a racing driver earns his medals, if you like. Oh, he's run wide there a little bit, but he gets it back. Just running through a fast corner like turn 1 in a ball of spray and just hoping you're on the right line, which is pretty much all it is. And that takes real bravery.
Kicks the dirt on the exit of turn 3. And I mean, it's not that it's frustration. This is motor racing. This is what it's about. It's about your car, your skill, ability, your mental capacity to deal with the stress and to work out where am I strong, where are my competitors weak. But John Martin for Australia has run down France. So it's a 4-way battle now for this 6th place.
Yeah, and everybody, I love this fact that they're using different lines to normal. It's great watching slightly different trajectories. And there, was he past there? I think he was. No, he wasn't.
No.
Sorry.
Just what happens is he goes the very wide line, and the onboard camera on that France car, then suddenly you see a car shoot up the inside, which is actually the USA car, because it's out of vision until it gets ahead.
Loïc Duval using those front tyres almost as a brake there. He really turned in hard, got the understeer, but there are all different styles, different lines for driving around here in the wet, there's no doubt about it. John Martin, he knows some of them better than others, and the Australian crew still enjoying this, as we see
Gets
France
up the inside,
now
he gets
really
up the
with a
inside
chance.
of the USA, but the drive will be on the outside line for the USA, and again, that outside line has paid dividends for Jonathan Summerton.
Great stuff from both drivers, and you know, this is real quality driving from Jonathan Summerton as well. USA on for one of their best results of the season. They've had one 7th place finish. That's where he is sitting at this point in the race as well. We're just going to have to wait and see if he can fend off Team France throughout. He had a 5th place earlier on today, which is actually their best of the season so far, and he wants to fight with Loïc Duval all the way.
So Loïc Duval gets the run. Well, he did. He initially got a bit of traction, a bit of bite, but he's still got to find a way around the USA car.
So
goes
close,
one way,
isn't he?
back the other way. The difficulty is he can't find the grip to do the job.
Fastest lap in the race, that's the classification you're looking at the bottom of the screen. South Africa, our race leader with fastest lap. Great Britain, currently running third in position, has actually got the second fastest lap. And then France, third fastest lap, with Switzerland next up. Now, John Martin of Team Australia. Contact USA France! And this is going to allow Australia to nip past, surely. Wait and see. Damage to the USA car. Damage, surely. And the smile on Alan Jones's face. Alan, what do you make of that one, mate? What do you think of that?
Well, unfortunate for the other two, great for us. He's doing a great job. He's staying on the island. He's driving nice and smooth. His lap times are very consistent. And we did a great pit stop. We started on the older of our wet tyres because we used them on Friday morning, and now we've gone to our newer wets and he's lapping quicker, so it's all looking pretty good for us at the moment.
Okay, well, we'll keep fingers crossed at the moment, as you say, and we'll take a look at a replay of this, John.
Yes, coming up into turn 6 and turn 7. Turn 6, two cars. I mean, there's a real lunge down the inside. I mean, there's no way that France could expect to have gotten away with that, not with the USA car. There you see the right rear of the USA car. The wishbone has been broken in that incident. France looks like they've got off with it pretty lightly. Here's the vision from on board of the France car. He thought he'd a shot, but in reality, he had more chance of being struck by lightning. And today, with the rain and the clouds around, he probably did in that incident. Well,
yeah, his car doesn't look too badly damaged. That was the reaction. Jonathan Cochet on the left there, who drove in the rookie session earlier on this weekend. Couldn't quite believe that either, but it means Australia now running 7th on the road. 7th place for John Martin, 8th for France, 9th for Netherlands. It also brings New Zealand into the points for the first time in the feature race. New Zealand up into 10th place, but it's still South Africa that leads.
Well, all that excitement in the space of a few laps. Rob Wickens for Canada, he's dropping back from Germany. That battle for 5th place, now over 8 seconds between Germany and Canada, but it's Australia who's run down as the beneficiary of that incident between the USA car and France, and he goes the wrong way around the corner, and using some of the knowledge, that specialist knowledge he has of his own racetrack. Lap times for Canada currently 1:42, lap times for Australia 1:42. The difference is Australia was 0.6 of a second quicker on the last lap.
Yeah, and he's just set the fastest first sector time of the entire race there, John Martin of Australia. Purple has come up on our timing screen to indicate that's a fast time. Italy got past China, but did they stay in front? I'm not sure they did. He might have run a little bit wide there, and I think Frankie Cheng reclaimed that spot, which is 11th.
Yes, so let's have an eye on what's going on for this battle for 6th place. John Martin runs the long way around the outside of the corner, but Rob Wickens, Rob Wickens maintains the 6th position.
We've got news, John. France have been given a drive-through penalty for an avoidable collision. The incident, of course, between themselves and Team USA.
I think that's the way we called it. That one was a real no-hoper. Unlike Loïc Duval to do something as unpredictable as that, but he had a go and he thought he had a chance, but clearly a misjudgment.
Looking at plank cam underneath the Australian car, I have to say it doesn't work quite so well in the wet as it does in the dry, because it's getting filled up with water as he follows in the wheel tracks.
But that gives you an indication as to how much water is coming off the car you're following. And that's what the driver's view is. The visor is absolutely peppered by the rain. Now comes up behind in turn 4. Rob Wickens really under pressure. He was the meister in the rain in the sprint race. John Martin runs wide, got some momentum, cuts alongside. This is the area of the racetrack we saw France and USA get together. Is Wickens going to give way?
Oh, it's good stuff from John Martin, but he's done it. He's done it. And then the crowd in front of us enjoying that in the grandstand. Australian flags are waving. Great move by John Martin. He found the grip, he found the traction, and he's gained another place. He is now into 6th position. Well, if he can finish there, that would match Australia's best result of the season. And here at Eastern Creek, the same position he finished the sprint race, but there's still plenty of time left. Maybe he can get some more.
Yeah, but don't give up on Rob Wickens. He's not about to let that position go. He wants the 6th place he's just lost. And he came back. I mean, the battle was really about giving way rather than being too hard. And let's look again and see up the inside. This is what France didn't do on Team USA. They didn't get close enough. And Canada was prepared to concede the bit of racetrack that he really wanted to avoid the collision. Good driving by Rob Wickens and courageous move by John Martin.
And applauded by the team down there in the pit garage. And there's the reaction in the grandstand, which is great to see. John Martin of Team Australia has certainly fought his way up the order in this race, hasn't he? He started back in 14th position and he's now up into 6th place.
We're just over half distance in this race on lap 23, lap 24 in fact, and We've got 28 minutes of the race remaining, so it's going to be very close to a timed race.
Yep, I think you're right. There's the race leader, South Africa's Adrian Zaugg, and he's still setting some very rapid lap times. He has the fastest lap in the race from a little earlier, but he's consistently quick. 11 seconds is his advantage. He might be getting a little held up here. Switzerland's still in second place, and in fact Switzerland's just set a new fastest first segment time, but across the line again to complete another lap. And the next race, of course, is in South Africa. What a result it would be for the team if he could hold on to this advantage, an 11.9 second advantage according to his pit board over Team Switzerland. And in 3 weeks' time we'll be in Durban in South Africa. Well, I'll tell you what, if he stays where he is now, that's going to add a few more people to the gate. It's always packed in Durban anyway. That was David Garza a moment ago, and did he manage to recover? I think he probably did. He went a long way over the grass though, so he's lost a huge amount of time. But apart from USA, taken out in that incident with Team France, all other cars still running in this race. 21 nations still competing.
And just to show you how the ebb and flow of fortunes can affect teams, if we were to have a result as we are right now on the road with South Africa winning, that would bring them up to 91 points. If New Zealand continue where they are in 9th place, they'll be 96 points. And if France finish 10th place, then they'll be 97. So the battle between first and second will be down to 1 point.
But what about Switzerland? Because they're running second here, they presumably...
They would be, in fact, 6 points behind France, who would be the leader at the end of the race, if the positions remain as they currently are.
Well, let's see. There's still a long way to go, as you say. 21 laps remaining in this race, or 26 minutes. Probably the 26 minutes is going to count first. There's Robbie Kerr for Team GBR. He's not out of it yet. He's still running in third, and, you know, he's only 4 seconds or so behind Switzerland. One poor pit stop by any of these top nations, and it could make all the difference.
Fastest sector time in Sector 1 for Brazil now. They're running, 14 seconds behind Great Britain. Their lap 1 minute 41.5. It's in the zone of the same sort of time as we're saying from Robbie Kerr and Team GBR. So Brazil really not going to be any threat. And 14 seconds and 21 laps to go, or 26 minutes to go, is going to be a big task.
There is Sérgio Jimenez of Brazil, driving beautifully here today. Got a great start off the line. Did back out of it a little bit, I think, sensibly when Great Britain had a better run through the first corner. That put him back down to 4th, but having started 9th, that was an excellent effort by Jimenez. He's a little bit on his own, as you say, some 14 seconds behind Great Britain, but he has a 7-second lead over Team Germany behind him. So he's on his own. He's just got to focus on his lap times, and so far they're looking pretty competitive at the moment.
So France, having been penalised for that unnecessary move, an unforced error causing the collision and knocking out the USA car, not giving up. Still quickest now of all in that first sector.
Now let's see what Switzerland's been up to. Bit of a big slide, was it, from Neel Jani? Didn't cause him too many problems, maybe a bit more around the next part. Behind the Malaysian car at the moment, which is running down in 18th place, being driven by Faraz Fawzi.
The usual thing happens when a driver's catching up a slower car, particularly a car that might be lapped. That car should receive a waved yellow flag, blue flag, to advise them that a leading car is coming through. But you do lose your momentum, and you've got to be so careful in these conditions not to sucker because you think you're quicker that you should have the automatic right to pass.
Comparing the times of Germany and Australia over the last few laps, Australia had gained on a few laps, but not hugely. I think Australia is a little quicker on a clear run. Pit stop window is reopened. We're now into this phase, the second phase of the race. The pit stop reopens for the second compulsory pit stop.
Well, we know that South Africa didn't come in at the earliest opportunity. As we look at the Swiss team, they're prepared for Neel Jani. Neel Jani currently in second position. So when the Swiss car comes onto the straight, is it going to go in the pit lane? It is, yes. So Switzerland are coming in to the pit lane for their second stop of the afternoon.
Switzerland coming in from second position then. And this is still a very important race to them. A great chance to claim back some of the points over France and New Zealand. New Zealand and France running 9th and 10th at the moment. So Switzerland's big title challengers only potentially scoring a few points, whereas they are still on target to score 12 points if they can hold on to second. But we've got to get another clean pit stop here out of the way first of all. Certainly no doubt about what tyres to put on. The conditions really haven't changed at all.
Trouble with the right front, slow getting that wheel and tyre on, and the gun's gone on now. Not the best stop from Switzerland, but he's out, no stalls, so they'll be happy enough with that. I think that might not have lost them anything
But what it does
on the ground to Team GBR eventually when they all again work through the tyre stop cycles.
But I guess it might give GBR a little bit of hope that if they had a mega pit stop, you know, he wasn't that far behind, was he, when
he was
they came
almost
in?
4 seconds.
Yeah, I suppose they would have to need something pretty special. But nevertheless, I'm sure it'll give the British crew a little bit of hope that they might be able to claim some time back in the pit stop. And now he's on the new wets again.
Again, you go through the same process. First lap out on a new set of tyres, and the grip levels, you just check it out. Are they the same? Can you get the same traction, or have you got more? Or is the front tyre not quite as effective in these circumstances as the previous set? A lot of things the driver's got to do, and of course there's only a restricted amount of things you can do with the car.
There is our race leader. South Africa not into the pits yet. He stays out for another lap. I'll tell you who's just set the fastest sector time in sector number 3. Team Pakistan, Adam Khan.
I noticed that Adam Khan currently in 12th, best run he's had in A1GP, and on merit. He's not the beneficiary of a lot of a race where we've lost all cars. We've only lost one car. That's Team USA. That collision with France. Robbie Kerr comes through from Team GBR running 17.8 seconds behind leading car South Africa.
Yeah, so Great Britain now in second place because Switzerland have made their pit stop. And interestingly, GBR going to go a bit deeper into the race. Ireland into the pits from, I think it was 14th. Let's just see.
They
I
were
think
16th,
went okay.
So
16th,
yeah,
right.
He's
okay.
back out again, and a spin for China.
Oh dear, not having a good day, is he, Frankie? Just outside the points anyway at the moment, and that's going to drop him 1 or 2 further places. That was Italy behind him as he rejoined.
So again, just this the difficult getting out of turn 2. There's so little grip, and even though you're so light on the throttle pedal, if once you break the traction, then just the sheer weight, the pendulum effect carries you around. So Johnny Reid drops into the pits. Germany getting serviced at the same time.
Germany in from what was 4th before they, or 5th rather, before they started making all these stops. It was 4th then because Switzerland have already made their stop, and in behind is Team Canada. That's interesting as well. So some vital pit stops.
Chris going out, indicating very clearly where he wants Johnny Reid and Team New Zealand to come to stop. They came into the pits in 9th place. So they're really hoping that this pit stop and this final set of tyres can do something to give them the chance to get that little bit further up into the field. Good stop for New Zealand. Johnny Reid on his way.
Canada, a fantastic stop though, 30.8 seconds compared to a 35-second stop. New Zealand even quicker, 30.2. So it's Germany that lost out there, and Germany might be under more threat from Australia. If Australia end up having a really quick stop here, Germany lost some 4 seconds.
Look. Johnny Reid's got out ahead of South Africa.
Yeah, the race leader, South Africa, now tangled up in some pretty severe traffic because he's got New Zealand up ahead. Great Britain in. So Great Britain in from what is now second. But remember, it's the race between them and Switzerland for really what is second position in this race that we're keeping an eye on.
So Swiss car on its last set of tyres. Wait to see what the lap time is from the first flying lap as Robbie Kerr drives down the pit into his garage. The car, Switzerland car, it looks as good as you're going to get in a day like this. So Jack's under the car, wheels on, or wheels off first, wheels on. So Robbie Kerr, his best chance really came at the start of this event if he could have gotten himself ahead of the Swiss car.
Swiss is just passing the pits, there you are. Swiss car turning into turn 1, and Switzerland will stay in what will be second place, I think, after South Africa make their pit stop.
Spin, Indonesia. I thought I saw a car spin, I wasn't sure I was seeing, but sat through Hermanto on turn 1, lost it, and the 2 cars, Robbie Kerr, who's coming out of the pit lane, he must have been aware of that one.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a bit of a scary moment. Brazil rejoining after their pit stop as well. Sérgio Jimenez back out onto the circuit.
Now the question is, will it be determined that we need to have a safety car intervention? Then look again, Satru Hermanto really lost it sort of midway in the corner, then the car got a bite, slid on the grass. Did he clip the wall? No, he didn't. And what a lucky boy that was. It didn't make its way back in the track. Right across, there's Robbie Kerr coming out, and he must have thought, what's that all about?
Yeah, that must have been pretty scary for him. We're still waiting for South Africa to... Oh, no, we're not. He's in the pits as I speak. Okay, Adrian Zaugg, who had a very, very useful lead of around 11 seconds before this sequence of pit stops started to be made. They just need a very steady stop, if you like, without a major drama. They don't need to have the fastest stop of the day, but these guys are fired up. They want victory. They had a win to start the season, but it seems a while ago now since South Africa had a victory. Good stop, no problems.
In the meantime, France, having driven through to serve a penalty for an avoidable incident, have just recorded fastest lap, 1:39.253.
A 31.3 total time in the pits, not the fastest, but exactly what was needed. A solid stop, not necessarily trying to be quickest, but only a second or so off the best pace. And with the advantage he had earlier, he should be in good shape. Now he's just got to get the feel for the tyres. Australia here with a real chance of closing up on Germany if they have a good stop.
So John Martin drives it down. We know that Australia are very good indeed in the pit stops, brings the car to a halt. There it is, spot on the box. The team go to work, jacks onto the car, wheels off. Everything goes on pretty much all four in unison. Gun goes on the back, right rear slightly problematic, drop the jack and he's away.
There was a slight problem on that right rear. I don't know how much time it cost him. It cost him maybe a second or so, which they could do without in that battle with Germany in particular. Out of the pits he
Germany's
comes.
coming into turn one, and he's got Pakistan racing with Germany.
Yeah, Adam Khan's flying in the wet conditions. Here we go. It's Germany, Australia. Australia out in front of Germany. He's gained that position, but can he hold it on tyres that are cold? Effectively, they've been heated up, but he might not have much grip here. This is the race, effectively for 5th position, and a vital moment this in John Martin's career in A1GP. Can he keep Michael Ammermüller behind him?
I'll tell you what, keeping AJ in control, Alan Jones in control in the pit lane is probably going to be more difficult than keeping Germany behind John Martin. So great work from Australia in the pit lane and the momentum. But Adam Khan really driving the race of his, I suppose, his A1GP career.
Yeah, this is a great drive from Adam Khan. And the guys down there waiting to see how it all told. Jonny Reid made a mistake down there, didn't he? And he can't afford to lose any more places down at the bottom end of the top 10 as it is, and needs to score as many as possible. No doubt about the race leader, South Africa. Switzerland going quickly now. New fastest lap for the race between Team Switzerland. Neel Jani in second. Great Britain in third place. A couple of seconds slower on that last lap for Robbie Kerr than Neel Jani. And then we'll wait for the others to come through.
And France again running very quickly. They did have the fastest race lap until a lap ago when Switzerland took that away. France, and well, great, yes, France getting ready for the third visit to the pit lane for Loïc Duval. One was for tyres, one was for
that drive-through
penalty. Very ambitious overtake on the Team USA car. Contact resulted in a drive-through penalty for France, but that car, even though, is still very, very drivable indeed.
Australia's just crossed the line and now ahead of Germany. When France make their pit stop, Australia will be up into 5th place. At the moment they're in 6th position, but we're waiting for France to make another pit stop because they had an extra stop due to the drive-through penalty. Loïc Duval doesn't look like he's going to make it 2 wins out of 2 here, and that'll be a first as well. In the past at Eastern Creek, whichever nation has won the first race of the day has always gone on to win the second one. It was France in year 1, Germany in year 2. But it ain't going to happen this time.
Yellow flags at turn 4 and at 9, and 4 is because I think the level 9 was Lebanon. Turn 4 I can't quite see. I'm not sure. It's not China. It's a red.
Or Portugal, maybe.
Hard to tell what it is. It's white and red. It's about 400 yards from us, so we can't quite pick that one up. But back to this battle. Germany again got Canada close proximity.
Yeah.
But the key is that Australia, with a great pit stop, and John Martin not giving anything away on the edge of the pit lane, took that position. Let's look again and see. This is Lebanon, all going wrong, and then Portugal behind, sort of almost getting transfixed on the Lebanon car.
Well, Chris Alajajian's had a pretty tough weekend of it, hasn't he? It hasn't really come together for Lebanon, but still looking for their first points. Team Ireland there has just got past Italy. That's for 15th position. Adam Carroll gains a place, but it's been a bit of a disappointing afternoon. Hasn't really made a huge amount of progress.
Starting on slicks wasn't the smartest deal, I have to say. So France are in.
France for their final pit stop. This is their compulsory stop to switch on to a new set of wet tyres. This will drop him back down. It'll bring Australia up into 5th place, Germany into 6th, and then where will France come out? They might come out in that battle with Germany and Canada. It's quite possible. Depends a little bit on the speed of this stop.
But also depends on the clutch, because he's got this problem with the clutch. He's having to be bump started, so he's losing 3, 4, maybe 5 seconds, getting it fired up. Come on, boys, push, push. Oh, he can't get it to fire. He hasn't got a clutch. He's having to whack it into gear. And now France have pushed the car halfway down the pit lane, and effectively France's run is all over. There you see the damage on the nose from the contact with the USA car.
Oh, what a shame for Duval. He was the star of the show, no doubt about it, in the sprint race here. Thankfully, in a way, he's got his win before he leaves the series, which we gather that he's going to be doing. But hasn't quite come together for him with that clutch problem, which has really denied him a chance of doing well in the feature race. What a day of ups and downs it's been.
Well, that failure means that France are not going to score a point. So they will remain on 96 points. And if New Zealand, they're currently in 10th place, 1 point. It's going to be very close between who will lead when they walk away from here, who will be in the lead of the championship.
Duval walks disconsolately back. It's all over for him for this one. And, well, he's just going to have to think back to the sprint race earlier on today and enjoy the fact that he took victory in that one. He's driven well this afternoon, despite that clutch problem. Now, New Zealand, we saw that a little minor off. He's still running in 10th position. It will be 9th in a moment when the computer updates the fact that France is out of this race. So, New Zealand running in 9th, the Czech Republic running in 10th place, but some way back.
But the key for this New Zealand car will be the Netherlands, currently in 9th, but that'll update to 8th. Just under 4 seconds, the gap between New Zealand and the Netherlands. Lap times between the two, well, New Zealand lapping about half a second a lap, maybe a little bit more quicker than the Netherlands car. We've got 13 laps to go, we're 12 minutes and 42 seconds, so clearly we're not going to go 13 laps.
Canada's got past Germany as well on the last lap. Canada has got up into 6th place, I think. So we'll have to have a look at that, but could be a gain there. And, well, all happening. Let's get down to the pits.
Loïc, it looked like you had a clutch problem from the start. Is that what put you out of the race?
Yeah, we had a clutch problem from the beginning, and during the formation lap already. I mean, before to come in the grid, I say to my engineer we had a clutch problem, but we couldn't do anything. They did the maximum on the but it was not enough. So that thing, I mean, nothing to say. It's only a mechanical problem.
At least I suppose you have a win to take away with you from the sprint race, even though the championship lead maybe have gone.
Yeah, but obviously we are quite lucky because New Zealand start from the back, and Switzerland didn't put any more points this morning. So I think it's going to be close anyway tonight for the championship. But it's a shame because I'm sure also if start fourth in the feature race, I mean, we were really strong, so it was possible to win it.
Thank you, Loïc.
So Duval out of the race, but South Africa still leading, and a new fastest lap for Adrian Zaugg of South Africa. Switzerland still in 2nd place, some 11 seconds behind, then another 9-second gap back to this car. Team GBR looking for a podium finish to put behind them what has been a disappointing run of results, particularly in New Zealand, and then that what proved to be a wrong decision to try and put wet tyres on earlier on today. Let's listen in now on a bit of team radio.
Mate, nice job. Everything's going fine. You're doing very well, but you've got Canada, and he's on a bit of a tax behind you. He took 3 or 4 tenths out of you on that lap. Second to Australia.
Right, now I think that was actually Australian radio. We're looking at the South African car, but that was Team Australia's radio. That was Rob Arnott. You could tell his voice. And he was telling John Martin what was going on.
Yes, there's 3 seconds the gap. Once again, we've seen Rob Wickens get the momentum. This is the car currently in 5th place. The gap once again starting to show signs of closing with Rob Wickens, who was really, for me, the star of the sprint race and those very difficult. There is the Canadian car, and he's pulled comfortably away from Germany, a further 3.5 seconds behind.
Yeah, so interesting to see how this one plays out towards the end of the race. They're all beginning to lap a little quicker now. Australia put in a very quick lap. India and China. Oh, whoa, Karthikeyan.
Well, that was a gutsy move from Frankie Cheng to go up the inside of Narain Karthikeyan, really forcing the Indian driver wide, and actually had to clip the side of the racetrack, which meant Narain Karthikeyan was out of the throttle, and China was full chat.
India versus Pakistan. This is a good little tussle going on. I tell you what, this is, as you mentioned earlier, I think one of Adam Khan's best races. He has scored points in the past and he's driven well, but we haven't seen this sort of form from him this season.
I tell you, the big lesson Adam Khan's going to learn from that is that you have to learn all about throttle control. Mostly Adam doesn't know what a throttle is. He knows what a switch is. It's off or on. A throttle pedal isn't a switch. It's something you have to use with progression and delicacy. Occasionally you can slam it open, but these conditions, I hope, are going to teach him an awful lot about how to control a car on the throttle.
Well, there's not much difference between the Indian car and the Pakistan car here at the moment. They're just outside the points because Team China still holding on to that 10th place and the final point. Well, let's see what happens. Only 9 minutes to go in this race, or 11 laps, depending on which comes first.
Well, you have to think that with 11 laps and less than 9 minutes, it's going to be the time plus 1 lap, of course, so these conditions have taken its toll on the race pace.
They have indeed, yeah, but what a great race it has proven to be South Africa still our race leader and still extending the lead. Last time around it was 12.2 seconds. Still watching India versus Pakistan in this race that's going on for 11th. Ireland are behind them in 13th place. It's a variety of lines being used here again. And Adam Khan thought there might be a chance, but I think Karthikeyan was just trying to look for the grip on the outside.
Yes, I mean, Adam saw the gap and stuck his nose in, but the reality was once he got on the throttle, he wouldn't get the momentum out of the corner that India had. So it looks good on TV, it's very exciting for the audiences, but the reality, and I think that Narain Karthikeyan is fully aware of this, is that he's got the advantage because he's ahead, and it's up to Pakistan to change that situation.
Yes, that's absolutely right, and well, we'll see what happens in the remaining part of this race, as the pride of your nation has never rung truer than when you've got these two nations racing against each other. India versus Pakistan, not too far behind them, not quite there with them yet, is Team South Africa. So those leading this race, of course, are going to be coming up, I think, to lap them in the not too distant future. So Adrian Zaugg will hope to get a clear run past him. You'll just see him in the background there, heading through turn number 9. But for the moment, India still holding on to 11th place behind China, Pakistan in 12th. And then it's Ireland, Italy, Czech Republic, Malaysia, Portugal, Mexico, Lebanon still running in this race. So is Indonesia. Just 2 cars out of the race. They are France and the United States.
10 laps indicated to go, but only 7 minutes remaining. So let's look down at Portugal and see what goes wrong in turn 2. Well, João Urbano, he runs very wide, and he keeps it on track. Well, does he? No, he doesn't. He only got half a wheel off the track, and there's the consequence. Just a very, very small misjudgment of the rear wheel. And again, he gets on the throttle. Watch what happens when he gets on the throttle. He then slams the car, and there you go. That's it. Too much throttling. He gets the tail going the opposite way.
Down in 17th place, so it's not been a particularly fruitful day for Team Portugal's João Urbano. Alvaro Parente had a very good result here in the first season of A1GP racing at Eastern Creek Raceway, but it's not going to happen for Portugal again on this occasion. Pakistan has dropped away a little bit from India over that last lap, so Narain Karthikeyan picking up the pace slightly. All the lap times around the 1 minute 40s, 1 minute 39s, as South Africa continues to just eke out that advantage slightly over the opposition. Switzerland in a strong second place, then Great Britain, Brazil on for a very good result, one of their best results of the season for Sérgio Jimenez. He stays where he is right now in 4th place, but let's not forget Australia still running in 5th position, some 6 seconds ahead of Canada.
This may not appear to be an important battle, but in reality it is, because China, who are just ahead of India, that's the battle for the final championship point. India just outside of Pakistan in 12th. Pakistan beginning to drop away a little bit. We thought that Adam Khan might put some real heat on the India car, but that appears not to be the case right now. It's Narain Karthikeyan scenting the opportunity to get a single point and put Frankie Cheng under the pressure of the much more experienced India driver.
Yeah, and there's the support from the Indians in the grandstand, and there's some Pakistan
side by
supporters side by side.
Absolutely wonderful to see that.
Lovely to see, and they're both cheering for their nation. That's what A1GP World Cup of Motorsport's all about.
And I think India is running down pretty quickly the China car. Adam Khan laps, as many have done, Satrio Hermanta for Indonesia, and he's just keeping out of everyone's way, using his mirrors and letting those quicker cars get through.
Yep, no problems for him there. It is a time lap, time race, 5 minutes plus a lap to go in the race now, so we really are counting the laps away here at South Africa, looking to try and continue what has been a tremendous race from Adrian Zaugg's point of view. He's already had 1 win so far this season, but it seems a long time ago. It was in September 2007, the very first race of this season of A1GP. Since then, he's had a bit of an up and down time. He did finish 2nd in the feature race at Zandvoort. Oh, he's just squeezing past Indonesia there, but he was beaten by Team GBR's Oliver Jarvis on that occasion. Had pole position at the Czech Republic in Brno, but could only come home in 4th in that race. And then a sequence of races that really didn't come to plan. He had an accident in Malaysia, which he felt pretty bad about afterwards. Zhuhai, he had a good result there, a 3rd place finish, but to take a victory here today, that really would put him back up there with the championship leaders.
Well, the gap between, well, that's Germany and the Netherlands.
Yeah, that's for 7th. That's pretty close.
And that's close down to half a second as well. Netherlands again putting pressure on the rear of Michael Ammermüller for Germany.
So Ammermüller having his first ever wet race in an A1GP car, and now he's got to try and fend off his neighbouring country, the Netherlands, as well. So that's going to be an interesting run towards the flag here between Michael Ammermüller and Jeroen Bleekemolen. Bleekemolen not really showing quite the form that we might have seen from him sometimes in wet conditions and things. They never seem to quite get a handle on the car here at Eastern Creek this weekend. But any racing driver this close to another car will always give it 100%, and he'll know how little time is left. Still the different lines you can see, the wide line from the Dutch car, the tighter line from the German car, each of them trying to find just a little bit more grip. But, and off gone Mexico this time.
Well, David Garza down at turn 9, runs wide, just under braking downhill. So there's the battle behind that we've been watching. Germany now, the Netherlands, Jeroen Bleekemolen slides wide. You can see how dirty the track is, mud in the spray as the cars come up into turn 10. We've got just under 2 minutes plus a lap. We're on lap 38 out of 45, so substantial loss of laps in curves with these weather conditions.
Behind these two is New Zealand, actually. You could just see the Black Beauty in the background, but I don't think he's really going to be able to do much over the remainder of this race. We're running out of time. It's really just the Dutch car that might get a bit of a run going here, down towards turn 1, but Germany able to sweep through and take the fastest racing line through there.
Well, if the circumstances remain with New Zealand in 9th place, France out, then it will be New Zealand and Switzerland, New Zealand and France that will actually be leading the championship with 96 points.
It's going to be so tight, isn't it? What a wonderful title battle we've got in prospect for the remainder of A1GP World Cup of Motorsport. The next event, as we mentioned earlier, in Durban in South Africa, and with the championship so finely balanced and with a victory possible here for South Africa going into it, putting them right back into the campaign. Well, you've got to say it's going to be a festival, a real joy to be down there. And then we go to Mexico after that as well, followed by Shanghai in China, and then that tremendous finale that will take place at Brands Hatch in May. And I reckon the championship's going to go all the way to the wire there, looking at the way the various teams have been running recently.
Well, had a spinner done at turn 9, but that's been cleared. So this battle continuing with the Netherlands and New Zealand, or Netherlands and Germany. So through turn 9, no difficulties for them. And once again, Jeroen Bleekemolen takes the easier line on the exit. Germany taking the tighter exit, finding grip and doing so. And ultimately, there's very little difference in performance off these corners between the two cars that we've seen pretty much in the last 5 or 6 laps.
Yeah, it's going to take a mistake probably from Ammermüller here to lose the place, but when you've been under this kind of pressure for this many laps, it's so easy. A glance in the mirror there from Michael Ammermüller, and a good little run going for Team Netherlands. They want that 7th place, another few points and prize money. It all matters, of course. Into turn 1, though, the tight line isn't going to work.
No, and that's the closest we've really seen those two cars at any point in this race, but Michael Ammermüller had the advantage, and Jeroen Bleekemolen, and Jonny Reid is closing down. We've only got 35 seconds remaining plus a lap. It's very unlikely he's going to get into contact with these two cars, and it's really going to be either close your eyes and go for it, but Netherlands are not close enough to Germany at any point around the racetrack to put a serious move on that German car.
Not just yet, no, but there is the man who has driven absolutely beautifully here this afternoon, Adrian Zaugg for Team South Africa. He has so far not put a wheel wrong right from the early stages. He's looked good, and he's been setting fastest laps during the race. He has the fastest lap in the race. That's worth an extra point, of course.
Absolutely, and I mean, for Adrian Zaugg, who has had sort of inconsistency throughout this 3rd series, winning that sprint race. Oh, Australia's off!
Oh no!
Turn 9. John Martin's driven off the racetrack. He's back on again. Is he under any threat from Canada? They were 10 seconds behind.
There's Canada. Well, what a scary moment for Australia, because Canada now not that far behind, but he's got out in front again, and he retains 5th place.
So let's have a look and see. Just too hard into turn 9. Can't get the speed off. There he goes over the muck and dirt on the inside of the corner. Right down. Look how far he went off the corner. Look, absolutely. He's got to be 50 metres nearly off the racetrack, but he's on wet tyres and he gets the momentum. Luckily for him, he had a sufficient cushion between Canada and himself, but it's down to 1.3 seconds.
It is, but the race leader has much more than that over 2nd place Team Switzerland. The advantage 17.4 seconds, and when he comes across the line this time, he'll be given the signal of 1 lap to go. There's more rain falling out there at the moment, and that could well have explained why John Martin had that pretty slippery slide onto the grass up at turn 9. Cross the line, Adrian Zaugg heading towards the line now with 1 lap to go, and South Africa heading towards victory here at Eastern Creek in Australia.
Well, that's the last time he's got to go through turn 1 at racing speed, and I'm sure it'll be, that thought will pass through the mind of Adrian Zaugg. He's got to be very careful. It's still easy to get caught out. You can over-relax, you can forget about what you might do. Second place, Switzerland comes across the start-finish line, 18.4 seconds in arrears. Waiting to see Team GBR how much. They're 6.2 seconds behind at the end in third place, with Brazil then a little further behind.
What an important result this is for both Switzerland and Great Britain, though. Switzerland and Great Britain both had disasters in New Zealand 2 weeks ago, and Robbie Kerr also didn't have a great sprint race here today, but third place is certainly going to sort of boost their morale a little bit after what has been a tough trip down under. Same for Switzerland, it's been tough down under for them, but with the second place that they're heading for, they're still going to be right in that championship hunt. But no one's had an answer for South Africa. Adrian Zaugg has just driven to perfection here today in the most difficult conditions.
Yeah, I mean, that is a drive of absolute class. There's no fingers crossed on the pit wall from the South Africa team. They're not taking this as a given. They know that there are still 3 corners in this racetrack to go, and anything can happen. You never know it's over until it's over.
So let's just watch him up through the final couple of corners. Is it going to be the second win of the season? I think it is for Team South Africa. He heads out of turn 11 at Eastern Creek here in Sydney for the final time. And with 3 weeks to go to the next event in Durban in South Africa, South Africa wins in Sydney, taking the 15 points maximum. What a drive by Adrian Zaugg, and you can see he's celebrating already.
He's delighted. I mean, to say that he gave the car a fit of the head staggers coming across the start-finish line, I can't say I would want to do that myself, but that was fully deserved, and Adrian Zaugg will be absolutely over the moon, as you say, particularly with the next race taking place in the streets of Durban. What better setup for that event could you have than Adrian Zaugg, South Africa winning?
Switzerland takes second, and they're right back into the championship hunt. Great Britain in third place, and that bounces them up the order a bit as well. And let's say a word for Team Brazil, because Sérgio Jimenez is going to finish in 4th position. It's his second best result of the season. He's driven absolutely beautifully this afternoon himself. A result to a certain extent of a great getaway off the line. But Brazil take 4th place, and Australia, let's wait for Australia to come through now, because Australia heading for their best result of the season, their best ever result here at Eastern Creek, beating Will Davison's 6th place here in season 1, and it's John Martin in only his 2nd ever outing in the A1GP car as race driver. Well done to Team Australia, they bring the car home in 5th place. He beats Team Canada, who've had a great day here as well. Rob Wickens has driven superbly for the Canadian team. But John Martin deserves the plaudits after a tough qualifying session yesterday. He has certainly bounced back with a great race performance in the wet here today. Canada 6th, Germany 7th, behind them the Netherlands in 8th, New Zealand 9th, only 9th for New Zealand, and 10th place for China. Whoa, what a day it is for Adrian Zaugg. And let's tap in now to a bit of radio communication.
Brilliant, fantastic, what a drive, you're a star. Thank you very much, brilliant. Thanks, Humphrey. Thanks to all the team. Woo! Woo!
Oh, lovely. Humphrey Corbett there, the race engineer. Congratulations. There he is, Humphrey. He's taking a well-earned drink. I should think that's a drink of relief as much as anything. When you've got conditions like that, you never know whether your man's going to make it through to the finish safely. But he did that, and Adrian Zaugg fully deserved when he's getting a good reception from the grandstand here. They're all standing and waving and clapping Adrian Zaug's performance. Absolutely faultless. And Team Germany in that battle with the Netherlands, this was how close it was. Look, across the line they came, and they were separated in the end. What was the gap? Well, officially it was 0.8 of a second. It looked a lot less to me as they crossed that line. Germany only just in front of the Dutch car. And there, well, this is surely going to be a celebration. He's tasted victory before, of course. He's tasted victory already this season. But it's been a big, big gap since we were at Zandvoort when he took that first win, and that was the only other track on which he had won in the past. So now he's done it somewhere else. That's going to mean so much to him. Adrian Zaugg takes the victory and enjoys a moment with his team down there by the podium before he heads up to receive his trophy. And that really was a tremendous drive by him in trying conditions. with 2 pit stops to be dealt with and all the mistakes that could go along with that. There were no errors at all, and a 19-second win it was, nearly 20 seconds he won that race by from this man, Neel Jani. But that was such an important second place for Switzerland. It's put them back in the hunt again. They are 4 points behind the championship leaders, who will be New Zealand. New Zealand will lead by 1 point now from Team France, with Switzerland a further 3 points further back, and Great Britain recovering here with a result that they desperately needed, a podium finish for Robbie Kerr. And after all the trials and tribulations of this trip down under, that is something that they can be well pleased about. John Martin, well, I don't know why he's saying, don't know, that we all thought that was a great effort by John Martin. The yellow visor there are always a good idea in the rain conditions to try and get a bit more visibility, a bit more contrast, and it worked well for him, didn't it? Brought the car home in 5th place, having started way back in 15th position on the grid, and that's 2 very solid top 10 finishes for Australia here today. Just what they needed, exactly what the doctor ordered after what has been a very, very tough season so far. Nice to see John Martin getting a great reception here as well. And I think the team's going to be very, very pleased with what he's done. That little mistake at the end notwithstanding, it didn't cost him a place. Just as well he saved it up at the end. And, well, let's take a look at the result. It's South Africa's victory here in Australia from Team Switzerland and Great Britain. Brazil, Sérgio Jimenez with one of their best results, certainly of this season, in 4th place. Australia, though, with an excellent 5th place for John Martin, ahead of Canada's Rob Wickens and Germany's Michael Ammermüller, who just beat the Netherlands in this case. New Zealand in 9th place, China in 10th, the final point. India, Pakistan battled to the end there, but India just emerged ahead. Ireland down in 13th, ahead of Italy and the Czech Republic. Portugal and Malaysia, but at last Malaysia getting a couple of race finishes. Mexico and Lebanon also making it to the end, as did Indonesia, but out of the race went France and the United States. Fastest lap and the extra point went to South Africa. Well, the changeable conditions today certainly have made for some very, very exciting racing, and differences in line, differences in technique, but it's all worked out beautifully in this case for South Africa. Earlier on today it was for Team France. Those 2 teams engineered by the same group, by the same company, so they will be very, very happy indeed with the achievement that they have made today. Neel Jani, though, will be relieved, I should think, as much as anything, after the mistake he made in the sprint race, which lost valuable points. He has seen New Zealand and France falter just when he needed it, and there Robbie Kerr. That 3rd place will mean a lot to him, I think, after the difficulties of New Zealand, and we see a smile on his face again, which is great after New Zealand and that sprint race this morning, where everything rather turned to dust. So the awards are about to be made. There is Adrian, a man who was spent a lot of his life actually in Switzerland, but very proud of his South African heritage, and very proud of this moment, I'm sure. The great awards being made as well to the guys. I think they might want to hold on to those ones. The teams probably will insist on keeping the trophies, but who knows, they might want to keep hold of them. Neel Jani picking up the trophy from the 5 times Australian touring car champion, the silver medal for Neel Jani, and the valuable points, which I think that's what's going to really count to them. 12 points for that one. And I wonder how big the one that Adrian Zougg's going to get for winning the race. We're about to find out. And a very unique form of trophy here this weekend in Sydney. Adrian Zaugg, then, the winner of the feature race at Eastern Creek. And for the first time here, we've had 2 different nations taking the win. So for the 2nd time this season, it's the South African national anthem. So Adrian Zaugg big smile. We'll be hearing from him in a little while, no doubt. And the team who've put in so much hard work this weekend, well, they'll be absolutely delighted. Of course, it could have been slightly better if he hadn't fallen off in the sprint race. He did still finish in the top 10 in that sprint race earlier on today, but a little mistake in the wet. Well, I'll tell you what, he certainly put that behind him, didn't he, with this result. He finished 7th in the sprint race, but he must have been kicking himself after that little slip-up. But he came good in the feature race. No mistakes from him this time at all. And he's come out with the race victory. Champagne in the eyes, that definitely stings. But it's time for the official photographs to be flashed around the world tomorrow. South Africa have taken victory, and the event that takes place before the South African round of A1GP. And that surely is going to create a fantastic buzz in South Africa leading into the Durban.